Now, when my next guest was on our show, it was earlier in the spring, and we had to do everything virtually because of COVID. I said then that Chris Christian is utterly disgusting because he has not just met, but he has worked with about every musical artist that most of us would love to just meet or see in concert. In fact, I called him the Forrest Gump of the music business because there is nothing he wasn't in the middle of for decades when it comes to the music industry. He has been living his dream job in the music business as a record producer, songwriter, recording artist, owner of a professional women's basketball team, and a whole lot more. He's worked with a few people. You may have heard of some of these people. Elvis Presley, Olivia Newton-John, the Carpenters, and Amy Grant, to name a few. Actually, there are hundreds. His records have sold over 10 million copies, have earned him 4 Grammys. He's a living legend with many delightful stories to share. Please welcome a dear friend and a wonderful person, Chris Christian. Chris, welcome.
Thanks, Governor.
When you were on the show before, I told you I just read the book, A Grandmother's Prayer. This was about how your grandmother prayed you into a life that, honestly, I am in awe of. I was spellbound by the stories of your book and the people that you just encountered. And the reason I called you Forrest Gump was because it's like every great musical artist, you ended up working with them, for them. They worked for you. You produced their records. What's up?
Things just happen. You know, my grandmother, she prayed little Chris go into the world and preach the gospel. And then I come to Nashville early in college, and things just started happening that shouldn't happen. And, you know, we've talked about that. And I just think the only explanation is God just having a plan for my life and my grandmother praying. You know,
clearly God had a plan. One of the people that you befriended and became one of your closest friends, Robert Kardashian. You know, we all know about his daughters, Kim and Chloe, and the whole family.
Yep.
But you and Robert were close friends in the Lord as well. Most people did not know that he was a very devout believer.
Absolutely. You know, when I went in '79, I'd done Amy Grant, signed her, and Imperials, Praise the Lord, and BJ's Home Where I Belong, and I'd done Christian albums.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see if I could do it in the LA. That's a big fish, you know. So I went and through a friend in Abilene and said, I know this guy that owns this, he's not really in the record business, but he owns this tip sheet for radio stations named Robert Kardashian. I'll set you up a lunch. So first guy I meet is Robert Kardashian. And then our families became really friends, and our kids were like, you know, 4 and 2 and 1 years old. So our families kind of spent a lot of time together. And Robert was just a gem of a guy. And then he came up, and when he heard some of the demos that I was writing with a guy named J.C. Crowley, wrote Baby Come Back and stuff like that, he said, that's really good stuff. You want me to get you a record deal?
Just like that?
Yeah, we're by the pool, and he said, you know, we were just friends.
Yeah.
We weren't. And he said, I said, yeah, that'd be cool. And he said, well, do you want me to manage you? And I said, well, I didn't know you were a manager. I said, I'm not.
He is now.
Yeah, he said, but this would be a lot of fun. So long story short, he calls Neil Bogart, who just had Casablanca and Donna Summer and all that disco era, who'd started a new label. He got me signed to that as the first artist. Then he called Bob Gaudio, who lives here in Nashville, that was just finished with Barbra Streisand and Neil Diamond, You Don't Bring Me Flowers, Coming to America. He got Bob to produce it, and then what turned out was a 1981 pop album that to this day is getting played all over the world and has a top 10 record on it.
You know, Chris, that's why I call you the Forrest Gump of the music business, because, I mean, how many people would just bump into someone that turns into a massive, explosive career? The book is something I just say to people, you got to read it. But I want to mention some of these wonderful projects you've got going. This one, probably very appropriate, Thinking of You This Christmas, Chris Christian, one of the releases on CD. Chris Christian, this is a lot of the...
That's the Robert Kardashian, yeah.
This one here?
No, no.
Oh, this one, the Robert Kardashian.
Yeah, the Christmas one, I'm going to be doing a song a bit later, you know, that's on that album, God Bless the Children.
Which is going to be great. And this one is pretty cool, Dallas Cowboys Christmas. Hey, look, I love the Cowboys. So you did this one back in the 80s, I guess.
85 and 86.
And the Cowboys actually sang Christmas songs?
Yes. Well, we raised about $500,000 in 85 for charity for the North Texas Food Bank and for Salvation Army. We did it again in 86.
Wow.
And it's got Tom Landry, and we brought them all back to do a TV show that was going to be out next Christmas, which would be all the guys talking about the making of. We found the footage of the actual making of, like Tom Landry getting his little bald head dusted with the makeup lady. It's pretty funny.
What a great man. Was there ever an artist that you wanted to work with and you didn't get to?
I wanted to produce a Christian album on Elvis Presley.
Wow, that would have been historic.
And I don't know why it didn't happen, because I was doing BJ and Olivia and Amy Grant and all that then, and we were friends. So I don't know, it just didn't work out, but I always wish I would have done that. Yeah.
Well, I wish you had have too, because it would have been a classic. I mean, Elvis loved the gospel, he loved the Lord, and loved gospel music. Most people may not know that, but he would sit up all hours of the night doing gospel music.
He only won 2 Grammys, and they were gospel albums that he did. And I don't want to divert back to Robert, but we had Bible studies at his house. I mean, Robert was a very devout Christian.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of laugh about it. He was Armenian, and I'm Abilenian.
Abilene, Texas, yeah. Well, you're going to join us for a Christmas tune. We're so happy to have you. Chris, I just admire you, and I admire the consistency of your faith through all of the things God has delivered you through. I hope people read your wonderful story, and I want you to come back anytime you can.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, an honor to know you.
Well, thank you. I want to thank Chris Christian for joining us on the show. And Keith, I want you to tell the folks at home how they can get a lot more of Chris's music and his book.
Chris Christian's music, including his remastered Thinking of You This Christmas, as well as his memoir, A Grandmother's Prayer. Please visit his website, chrischristianmusic.com.